Good morning. On behalf of the entire committee, I want to thank each of you for joining us today and sharing your time and stories with us. We recognize that the story of Flight 93 is part of a significant chapter in our nation's history, but it's also deeply personal to you all. The purpose of today's conversation is to hear your experiences, your loved ones' stories, honor the service of the first responders that day, and educate future generations of Americans of what happened that fateful day. In addition, I want to thank the Director of National Intelligence, Jay Clayton, for joining us today. It's an honor to have you here, sir. And last but certainly not least, thank you to the incredible staff of the Flight 93 Memorial. You all do a phenomenal job every day of preserving the legacy of the heroes of Flight 93 and educating Americans on what happened on 9/11 25 years ago. Thank you for your service. With that, I want to yield to Ranking Member Himes for brief opening remarks.
Thank you, Chairman, and I want to reiterate those thanks to all of you, to the National Park Service, to all of the staff from the state of Pennsylvania, to everyone, to the Chairman for organizing this, and especially to the family members that we have today. Mr. Root, you said something that's going to stick with me. You talked about us, and I'll just reflect for a second. Like Mr. Gottheimer, I had lots of constituents commuting into New York City, and the state of Connecticut, which I represent, lost 161 people. I happened to be in Lower Manhattan when the planes hit, and I remember the horror and the fear, but more than anything else, I remember the spirit of us that prevailed starting 45 minutes after those planes hit. New Yorkers, not necessarily known for their hospitality or friendliness, were very literally opening up their homes, their apartments, their stores, their restaurants to hand out water and food. New Yorkers lined up around the hospitals to donate blood. That was a spirit that was magical after such horror, and we've really felt that here this morning. And I hope that we have a lot of work to do. The Chairman and Ms. Stefanik and Mr. Gottheimer have been terrific in reminding us of the substantive and formal work we have to do, but we have a lot of work to do to make sure that we don't lose that spirit of us. Mr. Root, thank you for that reminder, and we're just delighted to have you here. Thank you, Chairman. Yield back.
Thank you, sir. I also want to recognize our co-chair, Elise Stefanik from New York.
Thank you so much, Chairman Crawford. As co-chair of the committee's 9/11 Bipartisan Commission Task Force, it's truly an honor to be here at the Flight 93 National Memorial, where we remember and memorialize the heroism of the 40 on September 11th. Thank you most of all to the family members who share the stories of their loved ones and our fellow Americans, and you continue to tell those stories to the next generation of Americans. Please know that we will never forget their sacrifice and the immense courage these heroes displayed in the face of great evil. It's been an honor to work on this report, and I yield back to Chairman Crawford.
Thank you, Ms. Stefanik. I want to recognize Mr. Gottheimer, co-chair of the 9/11 Task Force.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Ranking Member, and Co-Chair Stefanik. Thank you for your leadership. I just want to thank you all and to the Superintendent of the Park Service and everyone from the Park Service who's here as well. To say, there are two things that I took away, and hearing Jim talk about this a little bit, that really had a huge impact that I think will stay with me forever, in addition to, of course, living through 9/11. One, the fact that you have all these people coming up now who were not even born, who are coming into leadership roles, who were educators. They said that all these teachers come visit recently, and they were infants or not born on 9/11. And the responsibility we all have to share the stories of the heroes that day, to understand, because the only way we're going to come together as Americans is to understand these moments. And the second thing is when that vote happened, which I heard about today, the vote on that plane, and without hesitation, people said, we're putting the country first, and raised their hand and said, more than anything, I'm going to make sure that others are safe and protect others and put others ahead of themselves. We need more of that in this country. And the fact that you all continue to come here and share, which must be a very painful and emotional moment for you, I just want to say thank you. We all are very, very grateful. Our job is very easy compared to your job. So thank you so much for what you do. I yield back.
I thank the gentleman. And just to point something out, we have never done a field hearing in the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, ever. Rarely do we do open hearings, but we've never done a field hearing. this is not part of the official proceeding. This is to hear from you, the family members. But it's also important to note that we have an important part of this, and that is our Director of National Intelligence, Jay Clayton, who came here at our invitation on very short notice and made his schedule available so that he could be here. I just want to give you, Director Clayton, a minute or two to say a comment and share your thoughts with the family.
Well, thank you, Chairman Crawford, and thank you for the invitation. I want to tell you that maybe you got halfway done and said we're going to Shanksville, PA. I said yes. I commend you for having a field hearing. It's just terrific to have the opportunity to hear directly from you. And I want to put that in context, talking about three groups of people. First is this committee. I commend this committee for their bipartisan work. I've known many of the members of this committee, some for a decade, some for 30 years, including the ranking member. They care about the American people, and they care that we have good intelligence every day. The second group of people is our intelligence community. The Office of the Director of National Intelligence was born out of the failures of 9/11. We didn't get it right. We had silos, we had gaps, and we hadn't kept up with the times. I commend this committee for continuing to remind us of that. And opportunities like this to hear from you educate us and educate the women and men of the intelligence community who care deeply about their mission. And then the last group I want to recognize is, of course, the heroes and the families. Their stories being fresh in the minds of the people who work in the intelligence community are what motivates those people every day. So I thank you for continuing to share their memory with us, because it does motivate us to do our job as best we can. So thank you. I yield back.
Thank you, Director. We appreciate that. And without further ado, I want to introduce our families who are representing the heroes of Flight 93. I want to start with Terry Schaefer, Shanksville Volunteer Fire Department. I'm going to give each of you a couple of minutes to share your thoughts, your perspectives, and your experience on that day.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me to be here. September the 1st, or September 11th, 2001, 25 years ago, but it seems like yesterday. A lot of vivid memories, a lot of recollection of what happened that day, what it looked like that day, and the many days afterwards that we came here. We experienced many different things that we were not used to experiencing in a small rural volunteer fire department, but we always tried to do our best and overcome what obstacle was handed to us. I've been in the fire department, it'll be 50 years this year, and I've never seen a tragedy like this tragedy. It's something that will stick with me the rest of my life. As far as, it's part of our legacy at the fire department now. It's not something we asked for, but it's attached to our name now. But we always try to make it very clear that this story isn't about us or about the fire department. It was about the 40 people on the plane. And that's what we try to tell people. And as you mentioned, educate the best we can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. James Broderick, Pennsylvania State Police.
Good morning. My name is Jim Broderick. I'm a retired Pennsylvania State Trooper, and I am the first trooper that arrived on scene on September 11th. There was mass devastation that we have not seen on that level on American soil. I think we need to remember that. I think we need to, as Director Clayton said, we need to do better, and I'm sure he is. I have faith in our country, our government, our people. We just have to get it right. It was a long days that we spent here. but the families of the victims are who we have to think about. These people were heroes, and we have to remember them as such. Thank you.
Thank you. Gordon Felt, brother of Edward Felt.
Thank you, Chairman Crawford. And thank you, Director Clayton, for joining us today. And the entire committee, you honor us by being here today so that we can honor 40 American heroes that acted in a manner that just inspires us and continues to inspire us. I certainly would want to recognize the National Park Service, the Friends of Flight 93, the ambassadors, the National Park Foundation, all who have been part of a very unique partnership that helped create this world-class memorial so that we have a place where future generations will be able to come and remember. But remembering is just thinking, honoring is doing. So that hopefully this is a site that will inspire people through remembering to go out and honor our loved ones through service to their communities and to their country. The family members that you see before us today, we've been at this since the beginning. And we carry the story of Flight 93 and our loved ones in our hearts and on our backs as we move forward. And we'll carry it as long as we can. But the fact of the matter is there'll come a day when we won't be here. And we have a very narrow window of opportunity where we can gather the factual evidence of the day. We can store it and put it into the good hands of the National Park Service and preserve it and hand it over to them to be able to help visitors to this site understand what happened that day, as well as put curriculum in the hands of teachers so that they can carry the story of our loved ones to future generations, helping new generations of students understand what happened. And many of us work with students that come here. We give tours, we talk to kids, and we find that they have a real hunger for this story. It's a unifying story that resonates. But if we forget, if we neglect, if we only think about it once a year, our loved ones will fade away, and we can't let that happen. We've got to reach back. We lived through the horror of September 11th and became a new people on September 12th, and we've got to reach back to September 12th to be better, to honor our loved ones as we go. So again, I thank you very much for joining us today. We are honored by your presence.
Thank you so much. Mr. Ken Nackey, brother of Louis J. Nackey.
Good morning. Thank you for all being here. I've been involved in this process since, and Gordy have been involved in this since 2002, near the end. And this has been a true labor of love. I started out wanting to keep my brother's memory alive, but after hearing the stories of the 39 other passenger and crew members, they all became one to me. And it really does my heart well that so many members showed up today. I wish it was the whole committee, but I know life gets in the way. So I totally understand that. But it just shows you that the 40 heroes of Flight 93 need to be honored, remembered, cherished for generations to come. And I think when you come here and visit this memorial, the Park Service does such a fantastic job in relaying that. I think when you walk away from here, you can ask yourself the questions is that, could I have done what the heroes of Flight 93 did? Would I have done it? And I think when you drive away off this lot today, you're going to say, yes, I would have. And that's important because we have now a generations that are being born that have no idea, don't have an emotional connection to this site as we do. I know some of you guys were in the Capitol building that day. And you know what I mean? Can you really look like what our country would look like today if Flight 93 reached its intended target? And I know I shared that with you, but really let that sink in. I mean, I think how we honor and cherish our loved ones is live like it's September 10th, 2001. Don't live in fear. Don't be afraid to speak out. Say, the old saying goes, see something, say something. And you guys are going to be, that the newer regime is going to look for something. I think we'd be negligent if we think that something like September 11th can't happen again. I really believe that. I'd give my right arm, and I'm right-handed, to get my brother back. But also, I believe we are a safer place now because those 40 individuals, banded as one, became united and prevented a greater tragedy. As you can tell, I'm passionate about this story and the 40 heroes of Flight 93. I don't see them as victims. I see them as heroes because they were able to gain information, understand what that information was, some of the most democratic things that we do, vote on it. And then they acted and they prevented a greater tragedy. I believe those 40 individuals became one at that time. And that's the true story of it. They gave their lives so we can continue to live our lives like it's September 10th. I can't stress that enough. I appreciate you letting me talk, listen to the stories about my brother. It was an honor and a pleasure following in his footsteps through all my life. And I hope I become the man that my dad and my brother wanted me to be. And thank you guys for letting me share that story. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nackey. Patrick White, cousin of Louis Nackey.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, co-chairs, ranking member, committee members, ODNI. Thank you all for being here. Good afternoon. Welcome to what for many of us has become our second home away from home. I echo all of the comments of Gordy and Ken, and I want to stress using the name of your committee, the key word being intelligence. Your jobs are ones that rely on the gathering of information, factually based, vetted, leading to the use of your intelligence collectively and individually, like those 40, to come to some decisions about how best to utilize our taxpayer dollars, the policies that are implemented, and the choices that are made for those expenditures. And the point of what happened on September 11th aboard United 93 is that they put intelligence over emotion, I over E. They overcame the fear, the doubt. And like many people I know, Mr. Schaefer and others that give of their time in volunteer fire service, EMS, there are some people who, a fire explosion in a building, they run towards it. Not everyone does. I've been blessed to be able to be part of our own community's fire service, so I can truly identify with what it was that Shanksville and the other mutual aid companies went through that day. Aircraft crashes are expected to go a particular way, and this one was unlike any other. We know where Joey was based on the facts. We're very proud of him. I said to his mother, my godmother, and Kenny's dad, we shortly after the event gathered at Seven Springs for the first time as family, that Joey will always be the golden thread in the fabric of our family. For us, family, community, country, those are the values we hold. We will not be able to continue to have that freedom unless the responsibility that each of you carry is implemented with ever greater intelligence, overcoming what in our very politically polarized, partisanship-driven democracy today is challenged with. I am heartened to hear from so many of you, both when you've talked to us as a group and individually, that it is the bipartisan nature of your work that you take to heart. And that, in essence, what you do on a daily basis when you're on this committee and fulfilling your responsibilities is that you put intelligence over emotion. On September 12th, it was United We Stand. That hasn't changed. And anything and everything that we can do, you can do, your staffers can do, that supports that encourages that brings that to the fore as part of our national government, is what's most likely going to assure that the director's job will continue to be one that keeps this nation and this world safe. We're here because on September 11th, the world we knew before filtered through a lens that everything after has changed. We're never going to go back to what the 10th was, per se, but we can and must be like we were on September 12th, united. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Nancy Root, cousin of Lorraine G. Bay.
Thank you all for coming. I'm going to digress a little bit. I fully support everything the guys said, but I'm a Grammy, and I'm going to tell a Grammy story. When our grandson, who is currently a freshman at Dartmouth, was 5 years old, he was here with us, along with his sister, who was 3 at the time. But we were walking down to the crash site, and my 5-year-old grandson looked at me, excuse me, this makes me very emotional, and said, "Grammy, a plane crashed here." I said, "Yes, Nicholas, you're right." He said, "Grammy, the bad people died." Well, he's 5 years old. I said, "Yes, Nicholas." And then he looked at me and said, "The good people won." That's all I can say. Thank you.
Thank you. Ed Root, cousin of Lorraine G. Bay.
Sure, make me follow that.
Sorry.
It's, to steal a little bit of Lincoln, it's entirely appropriate and fitting that we have a national memorial here to remember and honor the 40 heroes of Flight 93. Those 40 people had knowledge, not a lot, but enough. They had time, not a lot, but enough. And they used that knowledge and they used that time to act. Certainly, I believe that they wanted to save their own lives, but I think they realized, they knew, that if they didn't act, a far greater tragedy would occur. And they took that time, they took that knowledge, and they acted, and that's why we're here today. But in a larger sense, I think what they did that day is greater representation of a free society. I don't necessarily believe that people on Flight 93 were any smarter or braver than the people on the other flights, the people on the ground, but they had the knowledge and the time that the others did not have. And they do represent that free society. There were people on that plane not only from the United States, but from Germany, from Japan, our two great adversaries of World War II, now our allies. People, a person from New Zealand. We've learned that the people who embrace a terrorist philosophy will die for their cause. Their cause is death. They save nothing, they create nothing, they build nothing. The folks on Flight 93, their cause was life. Certainly to save their own, but they knew, as I said, a greater tragedy if they did not act. So, again, this memorial means so much to us for the 40, but I think for all of us, for the nation, for free societies everywhere, this memorial means that also. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank each of you for being here and sharing your stories. And as I said, this roundtable is not an official proceeding. And what you're used to seeing when you have a bunch of members of Congress together is a bunch of members of Congress talking. And this roundtable is for us to listen. So you've got 15 of us here. So if you have any questions or anything further you would like to share, just raise your hand and we'll recognize you. I'm sure you have some questions. Before you do, I can't resist to mention this. Gordon, you said you inspire us, and I would say you inspire us. We've spent the morning with y'all, and the stories that you've shared. I think this ought to be a required visit for every American to come here and experience this. And the other thing that strikes me is how close to the surface this is for you 25 years on. Each of you have been very candid and open with us throughout this morning as we've shared this time with you, and I just want to thank you for that. So with that, I want to turn it back over to you. Questions or comments for the members?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was asked today, we have a memorial. What more can we do? And, it gave me an opportunity to talk about the fact that we have a beautiful memorial, and we're so proud of this memorial and all the work that went into it, and also by the process by which it was built, following the model that we saw in Flight 93. Different stakeholders coming together, putting aside politics and their own personal agendas and working towards a common goal. And I think it's a model that hopefully we'll never have to build another memorial like this, but it's a model of how government can function efficiently and well, because we all are, you represent us, but we are all part of self-governance. So again, I thank you for your time. In terms of what more can we do, we still are looking for justice. We still are looking for accountability. So I would encourage the committee, if there's anything that comes across your desk that you can help us with to find that accountability, to find justice. My mother's 94 years old. We've lost countless family members. We've lost countless people from illnesses contracted in their service related to 9/11, whether it was in the recovery or on the battlefield or coming home after the battlefield. Those that we've lost never got to know justice, never got to know accountability. Like I said, my mom's 94. I hope that before she passes, she'll know that someone has been held accountable and that there is justice for those that murdered her son.
Thank you. I'm going to go, let me start with Ranking Member Himes, if you have any questions or comments you would like in the remaining time that we have.
Let's go ahead that way.
Ms. Stefanik.
Thank you, Chairman Crawford. We were so honored with the time that the families spent with us today. I want to hear a little bit from the law enforcement perspective, as this is our first time hearing for you. For the first responders here, what do you wish people understood about what it was like to arrive at and work at the site on that day? And particularly for the 100 million Americans who were born after 9/11, what message do you have for them as the first responders to this site?
I believe as first responders to the site, I'd like to see help for the people that were here. But also, I think that the American people need to realize that those people sacrificed their lives for the betterment and kept these people and possibly even you safe at the Capitol. It was always assumed that it was going to the Capitol. Who knows where it could have ended up. But as law enforcement, we're here. We had a job to do. We did it. We saw it through. We did what we could, helped the family members out as best we could, honored them. But we're here to honor also everybody that passed away during this event. They are truly heroes, and they took it upon themselves to fight back. They're the first ones that fought back. And it's an honor being here, and it's an honor to represent them. And all law enforcement that was here that day and the days following, it was their sentiment also. It was just fantastic that they were able to bring this plane down. So, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gottheimer? Vice Chairman Kelly?
You know, this is pretty sobering for me, but when I think about those heroes on Flight 93, the 40, whether they were crew or passenger, I think of Isaiah 6:8 when Isaiah said, "Who shall I send?" And they said, "Send me," the same thing that many soldiers do. And there's a fight or flight response. It's not always the same for each individual even. But we know on that day it was fight. And so I'm so honored just to be on the hallowed ground where those wonderful American heroes, and I think it's a travesty that every kid doesn't have to understand what they did, because I've been in similar situations, and it's not always easy to stand up and fight, even when you know it's the right thing to do, but we know that the heroes of that flight did, and because of their actions, saved many more. So I think we have a hard time. There were good guys and bad guys on that plane, and we never, ever need to stop calling the bad guys bad guys. We need to get accountability in whatever form of anybody who had anything to do with this. We need to continue to follow up so that if they had any part of doing that, and I hear what you say, Gordy, and I promise you I will do everything I can to make sure that any person who had any responsibility that we do, and I'd like to hear a little more about what you think that responsibility is or what you think we can do to help further that goal.
It's a complex issue, I understand. There's a couple fronts that are being addressed on the accountability and justice topics. One is the trial that's currently taking place at Guantanamo Bay with KSM and his co-defendants. And the other is a trial against the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So what I think we are looking for is some clarity. Justice is a process. We just don't accuse people unfairly. We have to track facts, and we've got to get to the bottom, get to the details. We are aware that there's a number of documents that were put together during the investigative period following 9/11 that all have not yet been released to the general public, some of which have been declassified, some of which have been ordered to be released under an executive order under the Biden administration. And we are still waiting for some of those documents. And any kind of accountability, that there's a window of opportunity that could close if we don't have the facts in hand to present to the courts. It is my hope, and I think the hope of many thousands of family members that lost loved ones, that evidence is released, evidence is presented so that a court can fairly adjudicate any kind of crimes that may have been committed or not, so we can get clarity as to the truth. And that's what we're really here about. We don't make things up. We just want the facts.
Mr. LaHood.
Well, thank you, Chairman Crawford, for bringing us here to Shanksville and to the memorial as a committee. I'm kind of embarrassed that 25 years since 9/11 and I haven't been here. And I didn't think I would be as impacted as I have been here today. And so I just want to thank all of you for helping to make this happen. I want to thank the family members. I want to thank the 40 heroes on that flight. I want to thank the first responders, and I want to thank the National Park Service for helping to make this happen today. And just a couple observations being here today. Listening to those voices on those phone calls, the level of panic and urgency and stress was really, really impactful and puts things into perspective. And then secondarily, to see the flight path and how beautifully the memorial is designed, but to see that flight path and what happened on that morning, and to know that those 40 heroes and what they were able to do to stop the destruction of the U.S. Capitol. And when we think about 9/11, really the hijackers succeeded with the two towers in New York, they succeeded with the Pentagon, but they didn't succeed with the U.S. Capitol. And it's because of those 40 heroes as the reason why that didn't happen. We all work in the Capitol every day. And, you know, to be here and to understand that more and to see what's been put forth here is really, really remarkable. So I want to thank all of you for being here. And I would just also mention that we have an obligation and responsibility as a committee to make sure another 9/11 never happens again. And so when we think about that, after 9/11, we created a number of different positive things to make sure that hasn't happened. And I think it's no coincidence because of what we've put in place, we haven't had another 9/11. But one thing that we as a committee that we've worked on is what was created with FISA 702. And I mention that because FISA is the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, and 702 was created after that to make sure that we are protecting our country. And as we've heard from our intelligence, our CIA director, it is indispensable to national security. Right now, we haven't passed a reauthorization of 702 FISA. And so I think being here today and understanding more what happened with Flight 93, but also knowing that FISA 702 plays such an important role in making sure another 9/11 doesn't happen. And I will take that away from here. And then the last point that I will make is I think it ought to be required for every freshman member of Congress to come here in a bipartisan way. We send freshman members of Congress to Harvard for a couple days. They ought to take a half a day or 3/4 of a day and come here with Republicans and Democrats before they start their service. And so I recommend that we make that recommendation to Chairman Stile and the leadership that happen. Thank you.
I appreciate that. We've got about 7 minutes. Is that correct? 10 minutes? Okay, we got about 10 minutes. So I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to comment that wants to. Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be quick. Just to the family members, thank you so much for sharing your time. Thank you so much for sharing your stories. The greatest responsibility we have as adults is to take care of our kids. And the most important responsibility in taking care of our kids is leading by example and showing them the right way to live. And I cannot think of a better example for any of our kids across this country than to bring them here and to hear from you all and to learn the names of your loved ones, the stories of your loved ones, their history, their jobs, where they went to school, what they enjoyed as kids, leading up to their act of heroism on that day that saved the symbol of our government, of our country. And it's just very, very overwhelming for us, and we can't imagine the emotions it must conjure up for each one of you every single time you come here. But I just wanted to say thank you for lending your time. Thank you for sharing your stories. I second everything that Mr. LaHood said about members of Congress coming here. I also think that we ought to encourage every single school in America to make at least one visit here to learn. I yield back.
Thank you. Mr. Scott.
I want to thank all of the family members for being here. It would not have been the same without you. It would not have been anywhere close to the same without you here. The one thing I did pick up one of the speakers to listen to one of the recorded calls, and you talk about heart-wrenching to hear somebody, in this case it was a lady telling her husband that things weren't good on the flight and how much she loved him, and it just, hearing one of those calls was enough for me. But it would not have been the same without you here, so I want to thank you for being here. And Miss Nancy, I mean, I wrote down what you said. Good people won that day. Good people won that day. So thank you for the courage of your family members.
Mr. Hill.
Well, Chairman and Ranking Member, thank you for bringing us to Shanksville. This is sadly and emotionally for me, my third visit here, and I never get over it. And I know how hard it is for each of you, and I thank you for your persistence in carrying on the mission here. So we're grateful for your family memory and know that it won't be forgotten. And I think everybody on this committee is committed to do the work that we need to make sure also that not only is the memory not forgotten through education, through sharing, through the suggestions of my colleagues, but that we work with Director Clayton and the entire American Homeland Defense to make sure something like this does not happen again, and to be the best prepared that we can in the world that we live in. And that's why we're here today, to reflect on what we've learned, what we've seen, and how we can prevent another group of families on another day in years ahead confronting the same trauma and loss and sense that you feel. So to me, this is an amazing day, and to be on their hallowed ground and to see each of the marble monuments to each of the people there is so important. And I look forward to traveling home to give a special hug at Christ the King Church with Dina Burnett Bailey, whose then husband Tom was on that flight, and just tell her how much we continue to love all the families of Flight 93. Yield back.
Thank you. Ms. Crenshaw.
Yeah, thank you all for being here, Chairman and co-chairs of this commission. You keep thanking us for being here, but the honor is really ours. We don't get this kind of opportunity very often, and trust me, we don't have anything better to do. Okay, we're here for you. This is amazing. This has been heartfelt. Your input on what we've seen today has been obviously resulted in something that's very special for the American people. And I echo my colleagues' sentiments. I wish more students would come here. It was said earlier that there's an us and them problem, and I thought that was a really interesting and great way to put it. And it hits home because my generation was really formed by 9/11 and the global war on terror, and it does feel like an us and them scenario, whether you served because of 9/11 or whether you were affected by 9/11. And education is the only way to solve that. And you all are doing your part, and maybe we should do our part a little bit better at the top of government. I think we really should. And I think that message has been really clear today. So thank you for all you do. The honor is ours. It was amazing that you all came here today to be with us, and we really appreciate it. I yield back.
Thank you. Mr. Perry.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Thanks all to everybody that's involved in making this happen. We are honored to be here. It's heavy. Standing out on the field, it reminds me of the rage and the sadness and the helplessness as events were unfolding. It reminds me of the rage. And Mr. Root, I know you didn't come here. You're not a professional witness or anything. Some things you said impacted me, and they've been impacting me. The people that did this hate our culture. They hate us, and they want to exterminate us and everything we believe in and everything we hold dear. And I don't want to stand in another field on another memorial. The people whose family members dealt with the people on that plane and took care of the plane, so to speak, their lives mattered. They did something profound. I don't want to do that again. And I wonder, I look at this report, 25 years on now, the people that did this came to America for one intended purpose. But 25 years on now, people are in America who feel the same way that they do, and there's nothing in this report about them. And maybe at another time, I'd like to get your opinion on what we should be doing and if we're failing at that right now. I want this to mean something moving forward so we don't have to recreate the past that you have already lived through. God bless you.
Dr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say I spent 25 years in the military on active duty, and as Mr. Crenshaw mentioned, the generation I served with knew nothing but the global war on terror. That's pretty much all that we were involved in those 25 years. But what struck me today, and one of you mentioned, I can't remember which one it was, that really stuck in my head was all that time we fought, decades, we fought this global war on terror, but the very first battle in the global war on terror was fought here. And I think that that's an important thing to remember. The heroes on that flight were the first to fight back against the plague that has plagued us for so long. And I just want to say that there's going to be many things that come up over the months and years to come that are going to be related to 9/11 and what happened that day. And I personally can say, and I'm sure everybody else here, when those kinds of things come up in Congress, I'll be thinking about this visit, and I'll be thinking about meeting each of you and what you've told us, and it will make a difference in the way I approach things. So thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it. I yield back.
Thank you. Ms. Wagner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Nothing makes it more real than meeting families of heroes, of people who were truly attached to every single bit of it. Thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for continuing on in their legacy. Thank you for your continued advocacy. I am so profoundly moved at the thought that someone brought up that there's 100 million Americans born since after 9/11, and only 15 states teach about it. That has to change. That's an atrocity. It is what I know. It is what my family knows. My son, like many that have served here at this table during the global war on terror, Army Ranger in Afghanistan, in 8th grade, he decided that because of what your heroes did, he was signing up for service, and he went on to do that. 40 heroes, someone said it best, put emotion in front of intelligence. It is our job to put intelligence forward. It's our job to do the oversight. It's our job to provide the transparency and the accountability that you need. I just thank you, and we will never forget. Yield back.
Thank you. Mr. Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank the committee and everybody who organized today's events. I want to thank the families for participating and really adding to this experience by helping us to know your families, to helping us to know Edward and Louis and Lorraine and the stories that you told us. We will take those back with us as we, and they will help us as we shape policy that ensures that it doesn't happen again. And to Nancy for her grandson saying the good guys won, they did that day. But we talk about it in the past tense. It's not the past tense, it's the present tense. It's a battle that's going on in the present tense, and we have to recognize that it is not yet won. We have more to do. We commit to you that we will do all we can to win it, and this will help inform our work as we do it. So thank you for your time, and I look forward to bringing my family back here and share them stories about yours. Yield back.
Mr. Stubbe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Like Mr. Crenshaw and Mr. Jackson, my military service started after 9/11. I was actually in my first semester of law school when the towers were hit. Graduated law school early and enlisted in the Army. So the events of that day greatly impacted my life. I never had any aspirations to be in the military. It was because of the events of that day that drove me to go into military service and serve our country and overseas. So thank you for reminding us of the tragedies that occurred that day. It's great to hear the stories. It's great to be a part of it. And I agree with everything that's been said here. I yield back.
Thank you. Ms. Tinney.
I just want to echo the sentiment of all my colleagues and everything that you've all said, and thank you all for being here. This is a little bit of a personal story for me because of Gordon. As some of you know or don't know, our fathers were law partners, so he's from my community. And it's just incredible what you have done and all of you have done to recognize these families, because there is a really famous person from my community, and his name is Edward Felt, following on the amazing legacy of his father, who was a well-regarded lawyer in our community and a partner of my dad's, and family friends. I also went to college with Ed, and wow, Gordon, I just didn't realize how much you've done here, and it's really just amazing. All of you and everything my colleagues have said is incredible. You know, it's just incredible that only 15 states in our country recognize it, and I'm really gratified that New York is one of them that have our children learn this. One last thing is I just texted my son earlier and said that I was here, and he serves now in the Marine Corps, and said I would love to go there someday. And if we could just get all of our children and everyone to understand, this is, as Dr. Jackson said, this is where the global war on terror started. Let's hope that we can end that. And I just am grateful to all of you, and especially Gordon as a lifelong family friend. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Mr. Fallon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been in Congress 6 years, and I have never heard members of Congress be this eloquent. And I'm serious. And I got to say something else. I agree with every single word that every one of you said. 17 of us here. Wish there were more. I'm glad the 17 are here. And the three, we need to thank a lot of people. The first three, we need to thank Edward, Lewis, and Lorraine. 40 of the heroes, 3 of the 40. I went to Oklahoma City in 1995. And then after the towers fell, I went to Manhattan. And I've been to the Pentagon. This is the first time I was here. And I'll be candid. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Ranking Member Hines, to have us here. Listening to those 3 recordings, they were under no illusion as to their fates. They knew. And it's heart-wrenching. And it's not just members of the Intel Committee that should listen to those recordings, and not just every member of Congress, every citizen in these United States. 15 states require now education on these events. It needs to be all 50 states. It must be. 40% of the population has no living memory of 9/11. I remember my parents, they knew where they were when JFK got shot. And I always thought to myself, I wonder what that would be like if you had a moment in history. And we had it. We had it on that Tuesday, and September 11th. That was our worst day. September 12th was our best. We'd never been as united. And I lost my cousin in a car accident in 1993. And my aunt, her mother, said that she sees monarch butterflies in interesting places, and it's a sign, and Pat, it's a God wink to her. And I thought it was very interesting that we went out and saw the marker 93, there was a monarch butterfly on it. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you, and I'll yield back.
Thank you. I want to thank all the members for their comments. I particularly want to thank you family members for your time, your warmth, your candor. Can't thank you enough. This has been very meaningful beyond what I had ever anticipated, but we certainly do appreciate it. Mr. Root, final thoughts before we close.
I just wanted to add on to something that Gordy had said earlier. Many of our family members, not only from here, but from New York and Washington, have been to Guantanamo Bay. And I was there 5 years ago. And part of that process is that, of course, when a judge comes into a room, everyone stands up. The defendants didn't stand up. They have no respect for our process. They have no respect for what's happening there. But one thing I want to share with all of you is we had the opportunity to talk to some of the defense team. And it was a very difficult conversation, but they had no illusions. They made no attempt to say that their defendants were innocent. Their entire scheme was to stall. They basically admitted that to us. And that's exactly what has happened all these years. All the motions, all the pretrial things, it goes on and on and on. So they're winning that battle right now because they've been stalling, and for whatever reason, it continues to happen. And I just wanted to kind of underline that and underscore that, and I think the others here at this table, many of us have been there, and I think they learned the same thing that I did when I was there. So thank you again, all of you, for coming.
Thank you. And I just want to dismiss this proceeding with our profound and sincere thanks for your time and your service and your sacrifice. We appreciate you. God bless you. Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, 2 points. One, if it's a global war on terror, it requires global intelligence. We cannot undercut our own cybersecurity. Intelligence requires education. The Department of Education, I believe, has the opportunity here to implement funding being tied to education. I think that's enough. Thank you again for all of you being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you.